नंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा मदन मोहन राधे जय जगन्नाथ बलदेवा सुभद्रमय जय सुदर्शन जय जगन्नाथ बलदेवा सुभद्रमय जय जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तनम की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 26, entitled The Hellish Planets. Text number 18. The sloka is in prose order. So we'll go for word to word meaning directly. Please repeat after me. Yaha, anyone who, tu, but, iha, in this life, va, or, asamvibhajya, without dividing, asnati, eats, yat kinchana, whatever, upanatam, obtained by Krishna's grace, anirmita, not performing, panchayajnaha, the 5 kinds of sacrifice, vayasa, with the cross, samstutaha, who is described as equal, saha, such a person, paratra, in the next life, krimi bhojane, named krimi bhojana, naraka adhame, into the most abominable of the hells, all hells, nipatati, falls down, tatra, there, satasahasra yojane, measuring 1 lakh yojanas, 80,000, 8 lakhs miles. Krimi kunde, in a lake of worms. Krimi bhuta, becoming one of the worms. Swayam, he himself. Krimibhi, by the other worms. Eva, certainly. Bhakshamana, being eaten. Apratta, aprabhuta, unshared and unoffered food. Adaha, one who eats. Anirvesham, who has not performed atonement. Atmanam, to himself. Yatayate, gives pain. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, S. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A person is considered no better than a crow if, after receiving some food, he doesn't divide it among guests, old men, and children, but simply eats it himself, or he eats it without performing five kinds of sacrifice. After death, he is put into the most abominable hell known as Krimi Bhojana. In that hell is a lake of 1 lakh yojanas, 8 lakh miles wide, and filled with worms. He becomes a worm in that lake and feeds on the other worms there, who also feeds on him, unless he atones for his actions before his death. Such a sinful man remains in hellish lake of Krimi Bhojana for as many years as there are yojanas in the width of the lake. Purport. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Yajna Shishta Sino Shanta Muchante Sarva Kilbishaha Unjate Te Agham Papam Ye Pachanyatyatma Karanat. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is first offered for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. All food is given to us by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eko Bahanam Yo Vidati Kaman. The Lord supplies everyone with the necessities of life. Therefore, we should acknowledge His mercy by performing yajna, sacrifice. This is the duty of everyone. Indeed, the sole purpose of life is to perform yajna. According to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, 9th verse, Yajnartat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and in that way you will always remain unattached and free from bondage. If you do not perform yajna and distribute prasad to others, our lives are condemned. Only after performing yajna and distributing prasada to all dependents, children, brahmana, and old men, should one eat. However, one who cooks only for himself or his family is condemned, along with everyone he feeds. After death, he is put into the hell known as Krimi Bhojana. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guravai Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Namavom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutali Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I seek blessings from all the assembled devotees. These verses are little frightening verses. So that whatever I heard from my superiors, I try to repeat as a service to all the devotees for the glorification of Lord and for my own purification. So this is a description about hellish planets in the Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Actually, it is very briefly explained in one sense in Bhagavatam. There is something called Garuda Purana. And there it is even more elaborately explained about it. So it is said when Lord Vishnu is speaking to Garuda, Garudji starts shivering and sweating, that is the description is there in that. So sometimes we see some small things only. It is for that something very big consequences are told. Isme kya badi baat hai, just not sharing food to somebody else and we are eating ourselves. So how it can be a very big kind of sin. So sometimes we may feel. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is told about there are 3 doors to hell. Is there? Trividam narakasyeham dvaram nashanam atmanaha. In that 3 things, kama, krodha, lobha, lust, anger, greed is told actually. Like that there are 3 entrances are there. Like that our temple also we can come in 3 ways. One is north gate, one is this, one is through cellar we can come, right? Anyway, you can make your choice to come inside actually. Anything also can lead to lordships. So similarly for Naraka also there are 3 doors are there. Whichever wants we can go. So but there it is told about these 3 only. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, lust, anger, greed. Jai Shri Shada Madan Mohan ki, Jai Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So very interesting. Lust, anger, greed, LAG. Lag. So that will make us lag spiritually and lead towards hellish planets. That lust, anger, greed. So and again in the 18th chapter, Krishna says that Yajna Dana Tapa Karma. These 3 things are there that everybody should do. Nobody should give it up. Yajna Dana Tapa Pavanani Manishina. Even the great souls also become purified by performing this Yajna Dana Tapa. So exactly 3 things are told here and 3 things are told there. Here lust, anger, greed. Here Yajna Dana and Tapa. So these 3 things will prevent us from these 3 things. So if you match the following, lust, anger, greed, can you try what is Yajna Dana Tapa? Which will match to which? Yajna refers to what? Lust, anger, greed may out of Yajna what will match? Dana for greed. Okay. One option is over now. Yajna is lust actually. It is mine, we say. Indra is swaha, aham namama. We say it is sacrifice. We are sacrificing means we are giving up lust actually. And tapa is for anger actually. General, those who are tapasis, they become more angry fast. And those who do austerities, they become more angry generally. But ideally, it is tapa means itself is heat actually. Is already heated up. Little bit also you become blazing fire. It becomes like that. But ideally, it is said actually that tapa is to control one's anger. So in that way, these things are told actually which will lead to hell. But what about these things? These things open door to those things actually. All these things whichever is told actually, basically they all constitute tamoguna. In a person tamoguna, their activities are all these things actually. So all the sinful activities are performed under mode of passion and ignorance only. A person glide down from goodness, all the persons exhibit all these qualities which are all mentioned here, and that eventually lead to person becoming more lusty, more greedy, more angry, and eventually that main door opens actually. Before main door opens, one more door is there. All these doors are here actually. These whatever things are told. So so nowadays actually many people don't have faith in whether hell exists or heaven exists, all these things. Even when Srila Prabhupada went to London, so at that time the news reporters asked actually, Swamiji, we heard that actually in your scriptures, this hellish planets exist, heaven exists. Is it true? Then Prabhupada told, yes, it is true. And then they asked how hell looks like. Then Prabhupada said, hell looks like London. What? They are so proud of London. He said actually it is a place where the sun doesn't hardly rises actually. They used to, in those days they used to very proudly used to say actually British Empire in which the sun never sets. Ravi Astaminchani British Samrajyam. So like that in Telugu they used to say actually Ravi means the sun will never set. They have such huge kingdom. Now in their own kingdom they lost everything. In that kingdom hardly sun rises actually. It is always dark and people are waiting actually. How the good morning culture came is like from this only. Because hardly sun rises. The day sun rises, the day is little bright and little warm. And they used to say it is good morning. This is the good morning. We are using that actually everywhere nowadays. So the good morning culture came from that London actually, where the sun doesn't rise. So in that way, Prabhupada told actually it is a place where the sun doesn't rises only. So actually there are in many places it is there about description about the hell. So here it is told actually that this particular kind of hell is meant for those people who doesn't even share their food to anybody, and especially Prabhupada mentioning actually about eating unoffered food. Right, Prabhupada is mentioning about the verse from Bhagavad Gita, Yajnashishta Shino Santa Muchante Sarva Kilbishai Vunjate Te Agham Papam E Pachanyat Atma Karanat. So a person who is eating only sin only, volumes of sin he is taking. A person who is not offering the food and eating. Sometimes people think being a vegetarian itself is a great qualification. So Prabhupada said no. Of course that is one way better, but even we have to go even further actually, that we are not vegetarian, we are Krishnatarian, Prabhupada used to say. We accept food which is only, after offering Krishna we eat. In that way, it is a devotee is saved from so much sinful reactions. And in Shastra, actually there are so many stories are there actually, that how Yamaraj is there and how he comes and he claims the fallen souls. Even Prabhupada also tells some stories actually, that Yamaraj stories. Sometimes it looks very humorous, but it is very serious also. That Prabhupada tells one story that actually one fellow, who knows that actually I am going to go to hell. Then he thinks actually, how can I escape from going to hell? So he makes a plan that Yamaraj is very Brahmanical person, neat and clean. So he smears his whole body with stool. Thinks that actually when Yamaraj comes, he will not touch. you know. So that's what plan he makes. That when Yamaraj comes and he sees, Hare, this fellow is very intelligent. He wanted to escape. So he brings along with him one hog, actually. And the hog actually thoroughly cleans him, and Yamaraj bathe him and take him to hell. So like that, actually, nobody can escape actually from death, however intelligent maybe actually. Yeah? Then Prabhupada writes in one of the purport, the cunning gentleman Hiranyakashipu, he cunning gentleman, he says. He made such a plan actually, how can I escape from death? He sought so many blessings from Yamaraj and everything. you know and so it comes actually that after Hiranyakashipu being killed, so one devatas, everybody is offering prayers actually. In one of the prayer, the Pitru devatas offer prayer. In that they offer prayer actually, this fellow is eating all the pinda which we are supposed to get. He is only eating actually all the pinda. And we are not getting any tarpan and everything actually. See, to such an extent actually he is controlling actually. And now Lord, you pierce open his stomach, all whatever he has eaten, everything come out now. So it is very wonderful actually. Everybody is offering prayer that now how we are freed actually. And the rishis also offer prayer actually. Before we are not allowed to perform any tapasya, because he is bombarding everybody with sense gratification. Now we are free to perform our austerities. So like that, everybody is offering prayers. One more instance comes to that devatas say actually, our heart is a place for your residence, but you are not there. Who is there? Hiranyakashipu is there in our heart, always full of fear. So we are not able to place you in our hearts actually. Generally that's what happened, right? In our life also, we want to think about God, but exams are coming, targets are there, boss is there. Instead of thinking about Krishna, we have to think about so many things in this world. They are occupy our heart. Sometimes people say when we go for yatras or something, sometimes then they go away and again Lord resides and we feel very peaceful and comfortable. So in that way actually, their Prabhupada says actually, this cunning Hiranyakashipu, he made so many plans actually, how can escape death, but all his plans are frustrated by Lord. Even that one more story comes, there's a sculpture actually, who also very expert in making the murtis. He also thinks actually, when Yamaraj comes, I will trick him. So he will make so many beautiful images exactly look like him, and he places them. And Yamaraj comes actually, he sees actually, he cannot identify actually who is who. There are so many carbon copies are there, among this, how can I find this fellow? Then Yamaraj, he keeps on glorifying, what an art he made actually. He deserves a special reward. Like that, he starts glorifying, and he goes to an extent and he says, he made everything nice, but here in this image he made a mistake actually. He didn't came out well. Then he becomes upset. Hey, who is that fellow who is finding fault with my thing? And he comes out and he says, hey, tell me what is the mistake. This is the mistake. Come. No, he was caught. So like that, there are so many interesting stories are coined actually among how Jiva try to escape from Yamaraj, but Yamaraj is so intelligent and he catches them. So once there was a lawyer who did so many, crimes and everything since, and he was taken to Yamaraj, and then the lawyer started complaining to Yamaraj, "Sir, it is not just. So whenever I summon anybody for court, I send them notice. I send them 3 notices, and then after that, then we'll call him. Actually, you did not send any notice to me, and you are calling me to hell. So it is not justice." Then Yamaraj said to Chitragupta, "Chitragupta, we also send notice, right? You didn't send." "Yes, my lord, I also send notice." So he is telling, "We send notice." "You didn't receive." "I didn't receive any notice." Then Chitragupta, what is saying? He didn't receive any notice. So my dear lord, actually, I sent notice. Actually, the first notice, actually, I reduced his eyesight. That is indication that no, time is coming close. You now at least you stop whatever nonsense you are doing and become God conscious. That is first notice. But he put a specs and he did some laser treatment and started laughing at me. So he just rejected that notice, whatever I am sending. Then I made his hair white. Then he took some Godrej hair dye and he applied and and again he started laughing at me. "Hey, what can you do for me?" So then second notice, that's what we sent. But he did not cared for that also. Afterwards, I made his teeth fall. That is the third notice we sent, that time is coming close. You prepare. But he made some artificial teeth and he started laughing at me, showing the teeth. So in that way, we also sent 3 notices, Yamaraj, but he didn't cared for it. So then he said, "My dear lawyer, we also follow the same pattern, whatever you follow, but you didn't responded, so it is done. Come." So like that, actually, so many, funny stories are told, actually, because something is very seriously told, people don't like it, but the message is very serious. The story may be funny, but message is very, very serious. So I remember in those days, once in Pune, while doing Nagar Sankirtan, so there is a big billboard is there, actually. So in that big billboard, there is an ad of a bike is there, Yamaha. A bike ka naam Yamaha, actually. That interesting, that bike logo is also our Vaishnav Tilak logo is there. So they put an ad, actually, they released a new bike in blue color. And they put a caption, "Call of the Blue, Yamaha." When I read, I felt blue means Krishna. Krishna is calling. You respond. If you don't respond, then Yama is going to call. Then you have to say ha. You cannot say no. Call of blue, Yamaha. Yamaraj is telling, actually, "Blue boy, Krishna is calling you. You pick up the phone and respond. Say Hare Krishna." When Krishna is calling, say Hare Krishna. Otherwise, I will call you. Yama is, who is here? Yama is here. Then we have to say yes only. You cannot escape. So one of the important thing what here Prabhupada is telling, actually, that we have to offer the food and accept the remnants. So because it is a basic etiquette, actually, Krishna out of his causeless mercy is providing everything, actually, for our things. So it is the least thing, actually, what we can do, actually, just before eating, offer the food. It doesn't reduce anything. For your information, if you people may fear that, actually, my food may off, Krishna eats or something, then I will not get anything. So Krishna is very merciful. He will give it as it is to you. Don't worry about it, actually. So there is nothing to worry. And just by doing that, actually, and we can be free from all these sins also. So previously, one devotee was sharing, actually, just by doing this one activity, we can guarantee in this world there will not be any shortage of food. If all living entities do this thing, the basic thing actually, whatever you cook, you bring in front of Lord and put some tulsi and no, and offer prayer, chant 3 times Hare Krishna and ring the bell and just say thanks and eat. That's all. If you do that much, it is guaranteed that in this world there will not be any shortage of food in this world. But people are so much lazy actually. You don't need to do anything. You have to delay your eating by 5 minutes. That's all. So if you are eating at 7:30, you have to eat 7:40. That's all. Nothing else you have to do actually. So that much simple activity also people can't do actually. So in that way, Prabhupada is telling actually it is very, very important to offer the food and accept the remnants as a mercy of the Lord. If you see in there is Lord Jagannath is especially meant for eating and giving food. So Jagannath is the God who likes to eat and who likes to feed. And it is called Annakshetra also. And just by eating that Mahaprasad, all living entities are delivered. That we hear the story about that Vimala Devi, that she went to Lord Vishnu and she, got the blessing that not only me but all my children should get your Mahaprasad. So you should shower your mercy. So in that way it is said Lord offers his mercy at different places differently. So it is said in Vrindavan, if you roll in the dust, you will get Krishna Prem, because each particle of dust of Vrindavan is touched by Krishna's lotus feet. So in that way, everything in all dust in Vrindavan is Krishna's lotus feet dust only. Just by rolling in that dust, you can get Krishna Prem. So but dust we can't eat much, right? So if you go to Mayapur, the same Lord is offering mercy in the form of holy name. So just by chanting holy name, you will be free from all these sins and you will get love of God. But how long we can chant? We have so much struggle while chanting, also sleeping and all these things. So it's not so easy to chant always. But the same Lord in the Jagannath Puri, he is offering his mercy in the form of Mahaprasad. That is always possible, anytime and anytime, anywhere. So in that way, it is, Lord is, Jagannath Ji is the Lord of Kali Yuga actually. It is said there are 4 dhams are there, that Badrinath, Dwaraka and Rameshwaram and Jagannath Puri. It said Badrinath is dham for Satya Yuga. And Rameshwaram is, Lord Ram is from Treta Yuga. It is for dham for Treta Yuga. And Dwaraka is, Krishna is from Dwapara Yuga. So that is for Dwapara Yuga. So what is left? Jagannath Puri. And what is left is Kali Yuga. So Jagannath Ji is for Kali Yuga people, for all of us actually. So he is showering his mercy in most easiest way by just supplying Mahaprasadam. Eat Mahaprasad. And it is said if you go to Jagannath Puri, somehow if you couldn't get the darshan of the Lord, it happens during the 15 days. And if you have accepted the Mahaprasad, Lord will be happy. But if you happen to go to Jagannath Puri and had the darshan and did not took Mahaprasad, Lord will not be happy. So in that way actually we can be freed from actually so many sinful reactions. Ahara Shuddho Shattva Suddhi, we say. Even we can see in the Iskcon beginning days that Srila Prabhupada, how he established Iskcon is by feeding Mahaprasad. Food cooked from his divine hands actually. Just by eating food cooked by Srila Prabhupada, and people got so much higher taste. To such an extent actually, they gave up all lower taste. And everybody is addicted to meat eating and intoxication and illicit sex and everything actually. And they could easily overcome just by eating Mahaprasad, eating food cooked by the pure devotee actually. It's not that what we eat only taste, actually we get the mentality of the person who is cooking also. So in that way, Prabhupada is telling we can be freed from so many problems. And also today is the very auspicious day. Today is the day on which Srila Prabhupada established the Iskcon society. And Prabhupada made a statement that actually Lord Sri Krishna again born in the form of Iskcon to save the whole world again. So it is, this institution is actually nothing but is again incarnation of Krishna to save the fallen conditioned souls. So in that way it is not an ordinary institution actually. So Srila Prabhupada made a tremendous sacrifice for establishing this movement. So in that way Krishna is so pleased by his sacrifice. So wherever Prabhupada attempted, and there was temples are getting opened, devotees are becoming, because of the sacrifice which Prabhupada made, that Krishna completely sold out to Prabhupada. So in that way, whatever we have in this organization compared to any other organization is the mercy of a great sadhu who did immense sacrifice for propagating the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his spiritual master. So in that way, Prabhupada was immensely blessed by Krishna, and that is going to be there forever. As long as this organization is there, that the sacrifice of Prabhupada is there and Krishna's mercy is there. So in that way, whoever is connected to this organization, they will be also blessed. No doubt about it. So we will read from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, that particular day, that events, whatever happened, and the establishment of Iskcon. So, we shall call our society Iskcon. Prabhupada had laughed playfully when he first coined the acronym. He had initiated the legal work of incorporation that spring while still living on the Bowery, but even before its legal beginning, he had been talking about his International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And so it had appeared in letters to India and in the Village Voice. A friend has suggested a title that would sound more familiar to the Westerners: International Society for God Consciousness. But Prabhupada had insisted Krishna consciousness. God was a vague term, whereas Krishna was exact and scientific. God consciousness was spiritually weaker, less personal. And if Westerners didn't know that Krishna was God, then International Society for Krishna Consciousness would tell them by spreading his glories in every town and village. So this is a suggestion was given by somebody, that if you say God, then people more connect actually. That if you say Krishna, it may be little more sectarian, people may isolate. So Prabhupada said God is very, very vague actually. If God also has a name, right? If you say president, he has some name, right? So similarly, God has a name, and out of all the names, Krishna is the most appropriately fitting the name actually. God has many, many names, but Krishna names describes God fully. So in that way, that let people know through Iskcon actually. Krishna consciousness was Prabhupada's own rendering of a phrase from Srila Rupa Goswami's Padyavali, written in the 16th century: Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita, to be absorbed in the mellow taste of executing devotion service to Krishna. So sometimes people ask actually that what is this consciousness? Recently also one of the IIT professor is asking actually, what is this consciousness actually? Everything is okay, but what is this consciousness? Then I said, actually, everybody is conscious in this world of something. Some are money conscious, you know, how to get money, how to save money. Some are beauty conscious, how I look. Some are image conscious. Some are health conscious, right? So everybody in the background is thinking about something actually. Like that something is Krishna conscious actually, So we should be always conscious of Krishna. So that's what is Krishna consciousness actually. So Prabhupada very, very beautifully coined that term actually, how our lifestyle should be actually. We should be always conscious of Krishna. What will please Krishna? Yeah? What makes Krishna happy? Some people are boss conscious, right? What will please my boss? So in that way, we should be conscious about Krishna, who is our original boss. But to register Iskcon legally as a non-profit tax-exempt religion requires money and a lawyer. Carl Jurgens had already gained some experience in forming religious, political, and social welfare groups. And when he had met Prabhupada on the Bowery, he had agreed to help. He had contacted his lawyer, Stephen Goldsmith. Stephen Goldsmith, a young Jewish lawyer with a wife and two children and an office on Park Avenue, was interested in spiritual movements. When Carl told him about Prabhupada's plans, he was immediately fascinated by the idea of setting up a religious corporation for an Indian Swami. He visited Prabhupada at 22nd Avenue and they discussed incorporation, tax exemption, Prabhupada's immigration status, and Krishna consciousness. Mr. Goldsmith visited Prabhupada several times. Once he brought his children, who liked the soup the Swami cooked. He began attending the evening lectures, where he was often the only non hippie member of the congregation. One evening, having completed all the legal groundwork and being ready to complete the procedures for incorporation, Mr. Goldsmith came to Prabhupada's lecture and Kirtan to get signatures from the trustees for the new society. July 11th, Prabhupada is lecturing. Mr. Goldsmith, wearing slacks and a shirt and tie, sits on the floor near the door, listening earnestly to the lecture despite the distracting noises from the neighboring hood. Prabhupada has been explaining how scholars mislead innocent people with non-devotional interpretations of Bhagavad Gita, and now in the recognition of the attorney's respectful presence, and if to catch Mr. Goldsmith's attention better, he introduced him into the subject of the talk. I will give you a practical example of how things are misinterpreted. Just like our president, Mr. Goldsmith, he knows that he knows that expert lawyers by interpretation can do so many things. When I was in Calcutta, there was a rent tax passed by the government, and some expert lawyers changed the whole things by his interpretation. The government had to reenact a whole law because their purpose was foiled by the interpretation of this lawyer. So we are not out for foiling the purpose of Krishna, for which the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. But unauthorized persons are trying to foil the purpose of Krishna. Therefore, that is unauthorized. All right, Mr. Goldsmith, you can ask anything. Mr. Goldsmith stands, and to the surprise of people gathered, he makes a short announcement asking for signers on incorporation document for the Swami's new religious movement. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, they are present here. You can take the address now. Mr. Goldsmith, I can take them now? Yes. Prabhupada, yes, you can. Bill, you can give your address. And Raphael, you can give. And Don, Roy, Mr. Greeny. There the hippies are there actually. They are not understanding what is going on actually. And the lawyer came and he's telling that we are going to form an international society and we are the trustees. You know? And they don't know what is this, you know. And you are supposed to come and sign the document. And as the meeting breaks up, those so-called those called on to sign trustees came forward, standing around in a little storefront, waiting to leaf curiously through the pages the lawyer has produced from his thin attache, and to sign as he directs. Yet not a soul among them is committed to Krishna consciousness. So nobody is serious in that actually, for Krishna consciousness only actually. And because Prabhupada is asking, if you sign, Prabhupada will be happy, so we'll do it. So that's all. Mr. Goldsmith meets his quota of signers, a handful of sympathizers with enough reverence towards the Swami to want to help him. The first trustee, who will hold the office for a year until the first annual meeting of the corporation, are Michael Grant, who puts down his name and address without ever reading the document. Mike's girlfriend Jan and James Green. No one seriously intends to undertake any formal duties as trustees of the religious society, but they are happy to help the Swami by signing his fledgling society into legal existence. According to law, a second group of trustees will assume office for the second year. They are Paul Gardner, Roy, and Don. The trustees for the third year are Carl Ehrgens, Bill Epstein, and Raphael. None of them know exactly what the half of a dozen legal size type papers mean, except that Swami is forming a society. Why? For tax exemption. In case someone gives a big donation, and for other benefits an official religious society might receive. But those purposes hardly seemed urgent or even relevant for the present situation. Who is going to make donations except maybe Mr. Goldsmith, who has any money? पैसा donation भी देने वाला कोई नहीं actually. Because nobody has much money, and only that lawyer Goldsmith, he has something he may give. And that tax, Prabhupada want to get tax exemption, so he is forming the society. That's what is understanding. But Prabhupada is planning for future, and he is planning for much more than just tax exemptions. He is trying to serve his spiritual predecessors and fulfill the scriptural prediction of the spiritual movement, that is to flourish for 10,000 years in the midst of the age of Kali. Within the vast Kali age, a period which lasts up to 4,32,000 years, the 1960s are but an insignificant moment. So, Prabhupada said this Iskcon is going to stand for 10,000 years actually. So, these 10,000 years are called Golden Age, even in the Kali Yuga, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented. So, Prabhupada said, those who are fortunate, they come to contact with Iskcon during these years, they will go back to Godhead. The Vedas describe that the time of the universe revolves through the cycle of 4 seasons or yugas, and the Kali Yuga is the worst of times, in which the spiritual qualities of men diminish until humanity is finally reduced to bestial civilization, devoid of human decency. However, the Vedic literature foretells a golden age of spiritual life, beginning after the advent of Lord Chaitanya and lasting for 10,000 years. An eddy that runs against the current of Kali Yuga, with a vision that soars off to the end of the millennium and beyond, yet with his 2 feet solidly on the ground of Second Avenue. Prabhupada has begun an international society for Krishna consciousness. He has many practical responsibilities, paying the rent, incorporating his society, and paving the way for thriving worldwide congregation of devotees. Yet he doesn't see his humble beginning as limiting the greater scope of his divine mission. He knows that everything depends on Krishna. So, whether he succeeds or fails is up to the Supreme. He has only to try. So, then Prabhupada, fully depending on the mercy of Krishna, he, with the help of so many neophyte devotees who doesn't have any experience, or there is no guarantee that they are going to continue in Krishna consciousness or not. So, with their help, Srila Prabhupada formed this society and mentioning the 7 purposes and everything. So, in that way, it is very organization Prabhupada started. Sometimes people think actually, how can you do bhakti in organization? Huh? Bhakti kaise hota hai organization mein? It is something very spontaneous. Bhakti is very spontaneous actually. Sometimes people don't like organized religions actually. But His Holiness Bhakticharya Swami Maharaj always used to speak in those days importance of institution of Iskcon. So why institution is very very important actually? Because after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so many upheavals came. That things are collapsing and again re-established. And in that way, time to time, acharyas came. After the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, something, everything got gone. And Narottam Das Thakur, they all came and they again revived the movement. After that, again it gone, Baldev Vidyabhushan, and again they started. And after that, again it gone, Bhaktivinoda Thakur again revived. So like that, actually, it is happening so many times. Actually, the teachings are also lost. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur had difficulty to get a bona fide Chaitanya Charitamrita. It took 7 years for him to get a bona fide copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So in that way, when there is a setup of this, organization setup is there, institution setup is there, you can preserve the teachings very effectively. Because when there is a body is there, nobody can easily, violate the things and divert the things. So in that way, it is very very safe actually. Now so many books are printed and widely distributed. There is no doubt about philosophy at least. Nobody can change the philosophy because so many Bhagavad Gitas are printed, Nectar of Devotion, Bhagavatam, and nobody can misinterpret only. So in that way, when there is an organization is there, actually we are nicely celebrating festivals, Janmashtami, and we are doing marathon book distribution, we are doing Golden Jubilee. All these things, how we are able to do? Because there is a proper setup is there. Things happen in time, actually, in a proper way. So without that, if there is no proper body is there, it cannot happen only. So in that way, it is very very important actually to have organization in this age of Kali. So once he was telling His Holiness Swami Bhagavan Keshav Maharaj. So people like organized airports, right? It should be very organized. People like organized supermarkets. People like organized schools and colleges. But why not religion? Why not Iskcon? It should be very much organized actually. So wherever organization is there, there is always things happen in very properly. But there is a problem in that something hierarchy is there. There is a fight for post position and influence and control and name fame. All these things come. So in that way, this organization has so that threat is there. But Prabhupada has kept things very intelligently by keeping a morning program and keeping the sadhana of minimum 16 rounds and morning Bhagavatam class and all these things. If somebody is really doing it, the ulterior motives, whatever we have, that cannot come to the surface and deteriorate actually. So as long as we are doing this process very nicely given by Prabhupada, whatever threats are there, we can easily handle them also very effectively. So in that way, Prabhupada made a perfect system of how we can take this movement ahead for next 10,000 years. Only we have to follow the teachings of Prabhupada by doing our sadhana perfectly and seva perfectly and develop the right mood of being the servant of servant of servant. Then the things are going to go ahead for next 10,000 years and serving this society at large. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Iskcon Foundation Day ki jai. Hare Krishna.